So, as the saying goes, they want your Bitcoin. They want all your Bitcoin. Been saying that forever and Wednesday, right? They want all your Bitcoin. We have increasing evidence of this. Okay? Now, you may have heard in recent days that BNP Paribas and I think Mellon Bank, and then also Wells Fargo, the third largest U.S. Bank, retail consumer bank, and also, of course, J.P. Morgan, right, has confirmed that they have been buying Bitcoin ETFs from BlackRock. And it turns out BlackRock itself has filed to be able to buy more Bitcoin ETFs. So, what does that tell you? All the leading top banks confirm that they keep buying this stuff. And by the way, for years and years, and like literally more than 7 years, I think at this point, right? JP Morgan's been buying this stuff. I mean, I remember, if you don't even, maybe you remember, maybe you don't, there was this guy, there still is this guy, the TV host, Glenn Beck, right? He even did an episode back when he was like on Fox News or something, where he showed very clearly, and this was, I mean, the fact that it was on TV means, of course, people in crypto, we knew this long before, but it made it all the way up to Fox News eventually. And this is back in like 2017, I think. Maybe 2016, I don't remember, but it was a long time ago in the crypto space. Where he spoke about, he pulled out his little chalkboard and did the usual shtick he did, where he was showing people, like, these banks are saying, don't buy this stuff, at the same time that they're literally buying this stuff. If you haven't seen that clip, go watch it. It's amazing, actually. It's a very clear demonstration of what we've been saying for a very long time, like all the way since back then, and that was already on mainstream television news, right, on Fox. So now it's been confirmed again that these banks, including JP Morgan, which again we've known about since years, just as the others too, right? They set up trading desks, multi-million-dollar trading desks with staff and everything to be ready and train and prepare to do what? To buy and sell, right? And mainly to sell once they've acquired a bunch, right? To sell all over their customers. And then once their customers are washed because of bad trading decision, they'll buy even more cheap, right? Relatively. So profits is how they view the whole thing, which is fine because they're a bank. That's their business. But the not fine part is that they're lying, and they get away with it because they're banks. Right? Just think about CZ of Binance, who's got to serve a short little 90-day sentence because of lying, and he got sentenced to prison. Right? FTX's founder, SBF, what did he get convicted of? Fraud. Right? Banks have done plenty of fraud, far more than $8 billion. And by the way, that $8 billion that he lost has now turned into like, I don't know, 16 billion or something, whatever. They're paying back everybody who lost money, their entire amount, plus like 9% interest a year, which for some reason is good. I mean, if you want to know the details, go look it up. I've already spoken and written about that a bit, but basically they're giving back 9% interest per year for 2 years because they made money during those past 2 years with some, I guess, better investment decisions, and also they've recovered all of the money thanks to what? The blockchain, right? So when people say, like people like Jamie Dimon specifically, right, the CEO of JP Morgan, who sat before Congress and said Bitcoin is nothing but a device used by criminals. Well, guess what? It's also a device used by law enforcement and by people trying to recover lost funds. And if they have a clear path to doing so, it is entirely possible. And we've seen that with Bitcoin and Solana and other coins that FTX was able to recover, thanks to the fact that they use blockchain technology. So, what does this tell you? These guys like JP Morgan's, Jamie Dimon and others, again, he's just doing his thing, right? I'm not saying you got to go to prison or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he's playing by the rules that are applicable to banking. And crypto, which remains, of course, a target, has to act according to a different set of rules, which are not clearly defined, which are very arbitrary, it seems, and for which there can be no simple fine and keep playing for the large players. No, they're not okay with that. Right? If you're a big bank, you can just pay your fine and keep playing if you've done some terrible wrong, right? Like look at all the banks who have been held not accountable in 2008 with the housing bubble collapse, right? How many big banksters went to prison for that? Name one, right? You can't do it because it didn't happen. At the same time, name, try to not name a top executive from a large exchange that's come under fire who has not had to pay a heavy price once convicted. Well, so far they're 2 for 2 on these guys, and they got more guys lined up. Right? They definitely have more guys lined up. It's not the lunchtime of the gentlemen happening over on the K Street lobbies for the crypto crew. It's hard time for guys who are criminals, right? Because why? Because they have exchanges that let people buy, sell, and hold crypto. Now, again, these guys did wrong. They should pay the price, and they are. But I'm just saying that the price that they have to pay is not comparable to the price that people who've done similar or much worse things, like traditional banksters, have had to pay. So you tell me why that is. Why do you think that would be? If banks who have all the connections in the world with politicians would be somehow not having to pay anything beyond money to just keep on carrying on and keep on doing what they do. Yet the people who dabble in crypto, right, are being held to account as if it's, the worst crime in the world that they did whatever they did. And again, SBF did bad things. He definitely should be paying the price that he's paying. I don't know if he got the sentence that befits what he did or not, but the judge decided, and that's what the judge decided. So it's terrible, but that's life. That's what you get. And when you defraud people out of billions, don't be surprised if they're going to come at you hard to try to make an example out of you. Especially when, look, this isn't the they fight you stage. This is the then you win stage. I keep saying that. Okay? Why is that? This is already they win, then you win, and not then they fight you. Well, then they fight you actually happened between around 2016 to 2020. That's when they attempted to fight. And then they realized they couldn't. And by 2020, they'd already given up the attempt on the fight. Right? They had all their little hearings and all their little things, and they realized When we play this out with game theory, there's no win for us against crypto. Right? So now, all the dog lashing out, animal backed into a corner situation that you see, what is that really? Think about that, really, right? It's one word, and it defines what people do when they're losing, right? It's actually capitulation. That's what that is. It's capitulation. Now, how can you say it's capitulation if they're still putting people in prison and trying to regulate things? All that is the system that exists trying to contend with the fact that they've lost, trying to not lose face, quote unquote. Right? That's an admission of that they've lost. They know they don't have the power against this thing. It's an unstoppable force compared to them. They know that they can't win this fight, so they do whatever they can to get as much of a piece of a pie as they can, because they realize there's money to be made here. And when's the one time the government gives a damn about anything new like technology? As soon as they realize that there's money to be made there. Okay? First they ignore you, which is what they did from like 2008 to 2012. Then they laugh at you from 2012 to 2016. Then they fight you from 2016 to 2020. Then you win after 2020. Right, from 2020. We are very much in the then you win stage. Don't let anybody fool you. It's already over. The fight is over. Fiat has lost since years. And you keep hearing people talk about, no, this is the then they fight stage. They're trying to impose regulations. Regulations are nothing more, and legislation is nothing more than an attempt to get a piece of the pie that they realize they can make money from. That's all it is. And that wouldn't happen if they didn't already acknowledge that crypto has won. Now, they might say the words crypto has won or something to that effect only years from now. But that's because it takes a while for people to admit things and to come around and then to find some way of saying, well, of course we supported it. Look how long we've been supporting it. And they'll point back to since 2019, 2020, right? When they gave up. Oh, all this other time we were just making sure it was doing the right process. Okay, it's not a fight what they're doing. They might make it appear like a fight because they want to save face and they want to look like they're tough and doing something about this new technology. But every single one of these politicians, whether they like it or hate it, it doesn't matter. Whether they say they like it or hate it, doesn't matter. They all know that they've lost the fight. They can't admit it outright unless they're already recognized as being pro-crypto. The reason they can't admit it is because they have too much face to lose. Boo-hoo, right? So that's all this is, right? And they're doing all this because they're protecting the interests that keep them in power. And who are those interests? The donors. And who are those donors? Big corporate organizations like giant corporations, right? Banks, huge advertisers, defense companies, big lobbies like the Chamber of Commerce, etc. Right? There's no shortage. Pharmaceutical industry, agricultural industry, biotech industry, right? You name it. There are money interests at play. That is who literally buys and sells politicians. And if you think for 1 minute that they're just going to give that up, well, not without a good concession plan that gets them as much of the pie as possible. They've already given up the fight. It's all theater. Whatever fight they're putting up now is nonsense, right? This is just theater. It's them conceding that they've lost. It's them begging for a slice of the pie, whatever they can get, right? In different words, trying to act tough. We will impose this regulation on crypto. Sure, good luck. They've lost. And that's why they want your Bitcoin. All of them, from the rule makers to the money holders, you name it. They all want your money. They all want your Bitcoin. They all want all your crypto. That said, happy trading. Cheers.